Are you in the process of recovering from narcissistic abuse and wonder why you're in so much pain? Well, in this episode of Coaching with Kalia, I am going to tell you why. Hi, this is Kalia, and I'm going to talk about how your core wounds are being activated through narcissistic abuse. If you've been in a relationship with somebody that is narcissistic, no doubt your wounds have been triggered. You're flared up. You're feeling possibly in the worst pain of your life. This is typically what happens, and you might be asking yourself, why? Why is this happening? Well, in a previous episode, I talked about post-traumatic stress disorder and how a lot of the symptoms we're having is a result of post-traumatic stress disorder. But I am going to go deeper into our core wounds because post-traumatic stress disorder is often a result of earlier trauma as well. It can be that early childhood trauma that comes oftentimes in the womb and your first 3 years of life. This is typical. Yes, we actually are wounded in the womb. It's a little hard to understand, but the thing is, as little beings, both inside and outside the womb, we absorb the emotions of our mother. So because we absorb the emotions of our mother, if she's stressed, if she's fearful, if she's anxious, if she doesn't know that she wants to have another child or you're not really wanted, you're going to absorb all of that. And then once you are born and in the world, those kinds of stressors continue to happen and you continue to absorb it. If you add abuse, neglect, smothering, or anything like that to the mix, then those wounds that you incur, that emotional pain that you absorb becomes stronger and stronger. Now, as a child, I've talked about this before, but as a child, we see ourselves as being at fault, or we have a belief that we are at fault for why we're being treated the way that we are. So we tend to see ourselves as bad so that we continue to see our mother or our father as good. And this is a survival mechanism that keeps us bonded with that parent who we depend on for our very survival. So these wounds that we incur in early childhood encode into belief systems about who we are. And those belief systems usually put us as being at fault. It puts the child in the position of being at fault. So we believe there's something wrong with me, that this is happening. I must be bad. I must not be good enough. I must not be worth caring about. I must not be worth loving. We don't have that ability to look at the parent and say, there's something wrong with mom. Or there's something wrong with dad. Dad's being abusive, or dad's drinking too much, or mom's depressed. We don't have that ability as an infant and a young child. As we grow older, we start to figure it out, but by then, those core beliefs are already encoded. So those wounds that we incur in childhood are already encoded as beliefs that we have about ourselves. Now, these wounds are absorbed into our pain body. We are in a pre-verbal stage when we're incurring these wounds, so we can't make logical sense out of them. We don't have that facility yet. So what we do is absorb them into our subconscious pain body where they stay. And then we develop defense mechanisms to keep that pain at bay. And these defense mechanisms are usually quite unhealthy. They work for a time, they serve a purpose when we're young, but as we become adults, we're still operating from those unhealthy defense mechanisms. Whether we start drinking, we start drugging, we're in avoidance, we are eating too much, having a bunch of bad relationships and focusing on those relationships, focusing on sex, focusing on our appearance, being absorbed in the internet. There are so many ways that we can distract ourselves from our pain. But as an adult, once we experience narcissistic abuse, what's happening is that we're experiencing the defense mechanism of that narcissist, because narcissism in itself, or narcissistic personality disorder, I should say, as well as borderline personality disorder and all of the personality disorders, are really defenses against core pain. And these defenses are really strong. And so what that narcissistic person's doing really is finding ways to not have to feel, to shield himself from that pain that he doesn't want to feel or that she doesn't want to feel. So if that person gets close to that pain in any way, which you likely, as a partner, a significant other, a family member, a good friend, whatever the situation is, probably trigger that pain for them. And so what they do is project it back onto you. So if they have a core wound of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, there's something wrong with me, then they will take that and project it out and say that there's something wrong with you and lead you to believe that you're the one that's at fault. And you know that one well because of childhood. You're probably quite used to blaming yourself or taking on that responsibility. And then your core wounds are being triggered from that. So if you have a core wound that says I'm not worthy, and that narcissist is projecting his or her core wound of I'm not worthy onto you, you have this double load of unworthiness that you're carrying on your shoulders, or a double load of I'm not good enough, or there's something wrong with me, I'm inherently flawed to the core. And then there's a lot of other core wounds that we develop, these beliefs that we develop about ourselves growing up, such as I'm not smart, I'm stupid, I can't get anything right, I have to work hard to earn love, I have to work hard to earn approval. These are other core beliefs that we form as a result of our childhood. So after narcissistic abuse, all of these core wounds are flared up, which causes trauma, which causes PTSD. So there's a lot to deal with. When you wonder, why am I in so much pain? This is why your core wounds are really flared up. So what is the solution? The solution is to start understanding what your core wounds are and to start working with them. So it's important that you ask yourself the question that you might have avoided asking yourself most of your life, which is, what am I feeling? What am I really feeling right now? So you have to move in past those defenses that you've formed that have medicated you or protected you from feeling the pain, which is now all in your face, right? You've got that pain, it's very strong, so there's no more avoiding it. So why not just surrender and ask yourself the question, what am I feeling? Now, when I ask my clients this question, oftentimes the defense is to go into the thinking, to go into the mind. And so rather than giving me a feeling, they give me a thought. And a thought might go something like this: he doesn't care about me. He never loved me. He treated me badly. I feel like he never loved me. I feel like he never cared about me. Now, these are thoughts rather than feelings. The feeling would be, I feel unloved. I feel uncared about. I feel really unworthy. I feel like I don't matter. And so if we can bring it back to what you're feeling, this gives you the clues to what your core wounds are. The core wound of I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, there's something wrong with me, I'm not good enough. I have to work hard to earn love. I have to work hard to get approval. And everybody has a different set of core wounds, so I'm just throwing out some really common ones. But you can look at what's up for you now to identify what your core wounds are. And then you can see how these core wounds have become beliefs. There's a belief that I'm not good enough. There's a belief that nobody cares about me. And there's a saying, it is done unto you as you believe. And so when we carry around these beliefs, two things happen. One is those beliefs become an attractive magnetic force in our life, and they attract to us circumstances which validate that belief. So if you believe you're not worthy, you will continue to have experiences in your life where you feel unworthy. The second thing that happens is you can interpret experiences as meaning that you are unworthy or that there's something wrong with you, even though that's not the case. For example, you might have a job interview and you're really excited about the prospect of getting this job, and then you find out that you didn't get it, that somebody else got the job. So you might go into your core belief of, well, yeah, of course I didn't get the job. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. Everybody else is better than I am. And so you would interpret that not getting the job to mean that there's something wrong with you, instead of seeing it more logically, like there's 2,000 candidates and you might have scored in the top 3, but they selected somebody that they felt was more qualified for the job, or maybe you were overqualified and they didn't think you would stay as long as they would like, or something that's a little bit more in alignment with what the truth is. So we end up interpreting situations in our life according to what we believe. So as we become aware of our core beliefs, then we can start to correct them. We have to be able to self-reflect in order to self-correct. So we have to reflect on what's going on within us. What is it that we are thinking? What is it we are believing? And what is it that we are feeling? And this gives us clues to our inner reality. We make what is in the unconscious conscious, and when we do that, we can begin to make changes. So as we self-reflect, we can self-correct. We can take that belief, I'm not worthy, and we can look at that and go, well, that's an old belief. That's a core wound. It's not true. And so I need to call it a lie, because that's what it is. This is a lie that I'm not worthy. It's a lie that I'm not good enough. These are old beliefs, and these beliefs don't serve me anymore. And so I have to introduce new beliefs. Now, beliefs can be changed. Think about Santa Claus. How many of you believed in Santa Claus? That was a really precious, magical belief that most of us had in childhood, of this jolly man in a red suit that gave us gifts. That was beautiful. But at some point, as we were growing up, we learned the truth, and a lot of us were really devastated by that truth. What do you mean there's no Santa Claus? But we adjusted. and we adapted to the new belief or the new understanding that Santa Claus is a myth. And we don't believe in Santa Claus anymore, so our beliefs change. Some of you may have experienced a lot of changes in your spiritual or religious beliefs from the time that you were a child to now, because a lot of the beliefs that you were taught as a child don't resonate with you. They don't feel right, so you change your beliefs. So we are quite capable of changing what we believe. But the first thing we have to do is call the old belief what it is. It's not true. It's a lie. So if you identify these core beliefs that you're carrying as a lie, you can begin to create a new belief. I am worthy. I am good enough. I am lovable. And you continue to feed yourself that good food, that positive food of I am worthy, I am good enough. And the thing is that you have to stop looking out there in the world for the validation. You've got to start bringing it home to yourself, to your own inner reality. And you've got to find yourself worthy. You've got to find yourself lovable. You've got to find yourself worth caring about. And you have to begin to take care of yourself. And as you do this, you begin to develop a strong inner core. So those core beliefs are on really shaky foundation. You end up having a shaky inner core, which results in lack of confidence, lack of self-worth. But as you form these new beliefs about yourself, that I am worthy, I am good enough, I am lovable. And this takes practice, it takes work, it takes mindfulness so that you can stay aware, stay present, so that when that negative core belief begins to show up in your reality, you can name it. You can say, oh, that's my negative core belief. That's not true. That's a lie. And then you state the truth to yourself, that it's true that I am lovable. It's true that I am enough. It's true that I am worthy. So you have to keep mindful, keep identifying where those negative core beliefs are showing up, and then give yourself the good food of self-affirmation, self-validation. What happens for most of us is that we are looking for that validation outside of ourselves. And when we meet the narcissist is really good at initially giving us all those goodies, all the good stuff that they see in us. It's a process we call love bombing, where we get all this validation coming from this outside person that just thinks we're amazing, that thinks we're wonderful, that thinks we're beautiful, that really admires us. And how quick that changes with the narcissist, because initially, they're really thriving in all that we're giving back to them through, when they admire us and give us all the goods, then we give that back to them. We mirror to them how wonderful and amazing they are, and they love that too. So, they love it as much as we do. We all love to have that good stuff being projected at us. That really helps us to feel good about ourselves when deep inside we might still be in pain from our core wounds. So when somebody comes into our life and thinks that we're amazing and treats us really well and showers us with all this love and attention, it feels really good. But what we learn from the narcissist, who quickly changes his or her tune because of their own inner reality, after a while, their doubts and fears and things start to come up and they project that out. And so then we stop being the angel and we start being the devil, sometimes overnight. And that's just their core wounds at work. And what happens is that devil projection goes in and it hooks into our core wounds. So that's why we have to work on our own core wounds so that we don't get hooked into somebody else's negative reality or negative opinions about who we are. And we can begin to really go back to that self-love and self-affirmation so that we really separate ourselves from needing other people outside of us, even our friends, even the people we know who love us. We stop looking outside of ourselves for that validation, and we start to affirm ourselves, to be able to validate ourselves as a good and worthy human being. So as you become aware, as you self-reflect, you can self-correct. Remember, I remind you, it's not about the narcissist. Yeah, what that person did is probably horrible. And there's no doubt in my mind that there was a lot of damage done. But you cannot correct that damage that's done in here by focusing out there. You can't get that person who hurt you to be the one who heals you. It doesn't work like that. So you have to withdraw your attention from that person. Stop focusing on them. Stop researching them. Stop stalking them on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is that some people do just to try to kind of figure out what's going on, because the only way to figure out what's going on is to figure out what's going on here. So that's the path back to self. That's coming back home to you so that you can begin to feel genuinely, authentically good about who you are, about your purpose for being here, about your worth and your value. Thank you so much for listening today, for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That really helps me to be found. It will help my YouTube channel grow. So I appreciate that very much. And I also appreciate your commenting below. Let me know what your core wounds are. Let me know what your core beliefs are, or just say, hi, here I am. Thank you. It's so nice to have you here and listening and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you. I love you. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.